Previously on the ISAF World Match Racing Tour.
Disappointing to lose most of the races on the last day. It's our first event together, this team. Happily surprised to make the semis on our first regatta together.
Yeah, not such a good day for Team GAC Pindar. We had just the one race which we had to win. We didn't, so now we're on our way home.
Just sucks to start the tour like this, to be knocked out of the first event. Yeah, the boys will be fighting really hard, I think, now. You know, there'll be a lot more hunger. Every race that you've got a chance to win, you must win.
We finished the opening event of the World Match Racing Tour in 3rd place. Last year we managed to get lots of 4ths and not many 3rds, so I think that little step up is a sign of improvement from us.
He's got to laugh. What have the umpires got to say about it? Blue flag, so Passe gets another penalty.
First event, first win, it's perfect.
Damien Iehl crosses the finish line to win Match Race France.
Welcome to the town of Langenargen for Match Race Germany, where Lake Constance will play host to the week's sailing. Match Race Germany is the second of 8 events across the globe. 12 teams will be sailing Bavaria 40S boats as they compete for the $50,000 prize purse. The world's best match racing teams will be pitted against each other one-on-one in classic match racing style.
Match racing is the most gladiatorial sailing discipline. It pits 2 boats against each other on a very short racecourse. The 2 teams battle for advantage during a 4-minute period before the start gun, then sail upwind to the top mark where they hoist spinnakers. Turning back downwind onto the run to the leeward mark, the spinnakers must be dropped for the second lap. The races usually last 2 or sometimes 3 laps, and the action is umpired on the water using a system of flags. Each boat is assigned a colour, either blue or yellow, and the sailors raise a red and yellow flag to protest if they think their opponent has broken a rule. The umpires announce their decision, raising the appropriate blue or yellow flag to signify the boat that has offended. If a red flag is raised as well, it means the infringement is more severe and the penalty, turning the boat through 3/4 of a circle, must be taken immediately. Otherwise, the penalty can be taken any time before the finish. The first across the finish line is the winner.
All the teams will be competing to win the Match Race Germany title. But the 7 tour card holders attending will also be hoping to earn enough points to boost their chances of winning the world title. Here's the lineup of tour card holders competing in Germany. Johnie Berntsson with Berntsson Sailing. Berntsson has won a couple of tour events, including the Bermuda Gold Cup in 2008. Mathieu Richard and the French match racing team. Richard has been dubbed the nearly man of the World Match Racing Tour, with 2 seconds and a 3rd in the last 4 years. Everyone's wondering if 2011 will finally be Richard's year. Phil Robertson with WAKA Racing. Like a host of top Kiwi match races before him, Phil is hoping to take the world title home to New Zealand. Peter Gilmour and YANMAR Racing. Peter has a wealth of experience to draw on, with 6 Tour and World Championship titles to his name. But having gone out in the quarterfinals of Match Race France, he'll be looking for a stronger result here in Germany to boost his Tour points. Francesco Bruni and Bruni Racing. Last year's Tour saw a painful succession of near misses for the Italian skipper. He attended Match Race France this year, but went out in the quarterfinals, so he'll be looking to improve his performance at this event. Jesper Radic and Adrian Liam partners. After a series of brilliant cameo performances last year, Radix rejoined the tour full-time and is gunning for title number 2. Damien Iehl and the French match racing team. Iehl has already won the first event of the season, Match Race France, and has won Match Race Germany before. But it'll be interesting to see how he fares this year. We caught up with Damien to find out a bit more about the French skipper.
I'm Damien Iehl, I'm 35 years old and I'm French. 76 kilograms, 1.75 meters. I was born in Belfort and I live in Nantes. When I was little, I went sailing with my parents in the Mediterranean for a year. There are many. Let's say my first World Match Racing Champion title for the under-25s. And winning Match Race Germany in 2008. My biggest achievement is I just had a boy 1 month ago. I think this one is pretty nice. First, he has to be a very good sailor. Then I need to get on very well with this person. And on that basis, I'll make the person join the crew. First is to manage pressure, and then being capable of managing emotions and managing stress. And being capable of sailing at the best level, even though there is a lot of pressure. Nicolas Cage. I prefer dogs, but have cats.
Iehl's success at Match Race France has stood him in good stead for the season ahead, and it was a success they had worked hard to achieve.
We had a very good start. We worked a lot this winter. We sailed quite a lot on the J80 boats used in Marseille. We also sailed big boats. We have trained against the other French teams, Pierre-Antoine Morvan and Mathieu Richard. And at the same time, we worked with a coach to increase our cohesion and improve all the small details that we have lacked in previous years to improve our performance and results. So far, it's paid back. We are members of the APCC Yacht Club in the sports section. They've already supported us financially for 5 years. It's thanks to them that we can be on the tour this year. They also support us by providing boats that we can train on. The French Sailing Federation is also helping us with communication, coaching and logistics. Our objective is clear. We've seen that the French have achieved superb results for a while, like with Mathieu Richard, who made second last year. The objective is very clear. We'd like to get the title.
Match Race Germany will be taking place on the beautiful Lake Constance. Its shoreline borders Germany, Austria and Switzerland, and as a sailing venue, it has much to offer. Mathieu Richard was one of last year's strongest contenders for the world title, and this year he's back to try and seal the deal, starting with Match Race Germany.
So here we are in Langenargen, Lake Constance. You have a lot of activities and very good atmosphere. You have a very nice castle here as well for the official functions. It's good for accommodation here as well, where the people are very friendly and we are always very welcome here in Langenargen, and it's very nice to be here. This is a great place for match racing. We can sail very close to the shore and have some public on the stage. Often we have a southwest or west wind, and it's very often like that. But you can also have a wind more from the north, which is really inshore wind, very shifty, and often stronger winds when it's from the north. Sometimes you have to be careful with the currents, especially in the light winds, because it's more efficient when you have light winds. So it's a very tactical racing area, because you have to catch the shifts and the pressures.
Mathieu Richard came extremely close to winning the world title last year, but lost out in Malaysia at the Monsoon Cup.
Well, after Malaysia, it was very intense. We played for the title, and at the end we finished only second. But it was very exciting, very intense, a lot of emotions, and it's a great memories anyway. And we come back slowly into sailing. I would say in end of February, beginning of March. We trained a lot with Damien Iehl and his team, so we had good practice sessions in April. And in May, some practice as well. We just try to improve everything in every part of the game. The physical preparation, the mental preparation, the tactics, the rules as well. We identified that we probably got too many penalties last year, so we try to be better on that.
Richard cops a penalty.
The World Tour is still our main goal for this year. This is really the main circuit for us and the main goal, and the world title is really the goal that we have. For us, we had good results in the past, but we never won this event. I would really love to win it this year.
Join us after the break to find out about the boats being sailed here for Match Race Germany. In previous years, the teams have sailed the Bavaria 35 boats here in Germany. But this year, they're introducing the new Bavaria 40S boats to give the sailors a new challenge. Peter Gilmour has competed in Match Race Germany before and won the event several times. This year, he's come prepared with tactics for the heavier boats and typically light conditions.
The Bavaria 40 is a new boat for Match Race Germany. It's got two wheels in the back and traditional spinnaker with spinnaker pole, and they're extremely heavy with I think 9.5 tonne, and then you throw half tonne of crew on board. It's probably 10 tonne of weight to move around, so you have to be very cautious and considerate with your manoeuvres and where you make and take them. I think the heavier boats suit us a lot better at where you have to think a long way ahead of the manoeuvres you're going to do. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see very light and very mild, very sort of wispy kind of conditions, which takes a new level of concentration and an application. I wouldn't be surprised to see spinnakers used getting back down to the start line. 10 tonnes is going to run you a fair distance to windward of the start line, and you'll be 50, 80 metres above the start line with, say, a minute to go. Have to set a spinnaker to get back down, and it's how well the crew react to that. Trailing away from the start line after a dial-up, so being the port entry boat, is going to place you into a strong position, because if the lead away boat gets their timing a little bit wrong and turns back, you'll be able to turn inside them and basically control it. So I think leading early is going to be difficult. You want to be in a strong trailing position. Our goals are very simple and probably similar to many of the other teams. Is the focus is really on winning the tour, and you know, we will do everything within our power to try and achieve that. I think straight away Damien Iehl has already won one round, you know, so he's head and shoulders above everybody at the minute. I don't think he will stay there. I would have thought the European sailors you'll see do very well. When I'm sort of thinking Southern European, like the Italians, for example, that will probably, you know, sail a lot in very light conditions and, you know, have that sort of a little bit of a touch.
We're in Langenargen for day one of Match Race Germany. The teams are getting ready for the first qualifying session to get underway, and with the conditions looking good, the spectators and sailors could be in for a good day's racing.
It's obviously the first day of 5 days racing action coming up here in Langenargen. The weather is brilliant, you know, we have sunshine, we have nice temperatures, and we have some nice and steady breeze out on the lake, which is promising for the day.
Having lost out before the quarterfinals in France, Phil Robertson entered Germany with a must-win attitude. He won his first race against Stefan Meister and faced Johnie Berntsson in Flight 2.
We started on the boat. I think he probably just pushed too many manoeuvres in the pre-start, and he kind of gave us the start, but I got a bit greedy at the end and tried to shut him out, which didn't really work.
Come on!
So then, we just got a really nice lefty up the first beat and managed to cross 3 lengths ahead, and probably extended a little bit throughout the race. So that was a good race from us. We're happy.
We discussed it a bit. This is a new area for us and we're still learning, so we hope to get some improvement to next match.
Amongst the tricky conditions in Flight 3, Francesco Bruni managed to score his third win in a row, as did Phil Robertson when he beat Eric Monner. Sitting at 1 win and 2 losses, Peter Gilmour came up against young Russian Evgeny Negodnikov, and he was eager to level his scores.
Flight 7 for us against Evgeny Negodnikov was a very tight one. He led us off the start line, got a better start, and was the whole way around the first lap was ahead. He did an automatic tack at the bottom mark. We managed to get a little bit of up on the inside of him on port, and that got us bow to bow. Talk to me, Cam.
Okay, we are same speed now. Good here.
We had a bit of a luffing situation there with him going in, and there was a starboard tacker, I think Damien Iehl, and he tacked and had to dip him. We asked Iehl for permission to cross on starboard, managed to cross.
Can we go?
Yes.
Okay.
And then we tacked to starboard to go up to the mark. Eil's now coming back on port. We gave him permission to cross us, and almost opened the door for Evgeny, but we snuck around the mark in front, and that was the race.
Peter Gilmour continued to gain momentum in Flight 8 against Will Tiller, but Damien Iehl was the man of the moment. Already at 4 wins and no losses, he produced a very convincing performance against Jesper Radek and an almost certain qualification for the quarter-finals. As day 1 came to a close, the stronger performers were shining through, and those at the bottom of the scoreboard were counting on their next set of races to boost their chances of making it to the quarter-finals. Day 2 saw the start of the second qualifying session. Just as Flight 10 had finished, the breeze dropped and the teams took some time out in the hope that the conditions would pick up.
Yeah, usually it's kind of hard to kill the time between races, but this time in Germany we have the luxury of having the hotel and the accommodation very close. So we take the computer, we connect on internet. I personally had a shower and a shave, so I'm nice and fresh now, and I'm happy.
Frisbee's always good. We always enjoy frisbee, but it's pretty hot at the moment, so it's just nice to chill in the shade.
Luckily, just enough breeze arrived to get Flight 11 underway, and for Johnie Berntsson, it was a crucial race. He would be facing the formidable Damien Iehl, who has yet to lose a single race. Currently on 1 win and 4 losses, Berntsson needed to secure a win against the French team.
We're in the Flight 11 and we have been struggling a bit during these 2 days here in Germany, but today we faced Damien Iehl, and it was a really important match for us to win, and we had a pretty stressed pre-start. He was in control and he was forcing us out to the left side. We tried to brake the boat and back the boat and try to slip out of his grip, but he was doing a really good job hanging on us. But just 1 minute 30 seconds before the start, he didn't manage to have control anymore. So we could slip away and win the pin end, who was favored. And we was really close to the starting line, and he was just a bit over, and that gave us 2-3 boat lengths advantage in the start. Yes. Good. It was quite light wind and tricky conditions, but we managed to keeping a good distance all the way around the course. But he's really fast, so have to be aware all the time when you race against Damien.
So Berntsson defeats Iehl, a significant step for Berntsson's debut into Major League match racing, and the first loss of Match Race Germany for Iehl. As Flight 11 came to a close, the conditions took yet another turn. And this time it was of epic proportions. Thunder, lightning, rain and hail swept the event site, and although it brought the wind with it, the storm was too powerful to sail in. So although the weather had been changeable, At least the scores have been settled for the day. And here's how things looked ahead of day 3. Join us after the break for the third and final qualifying session to see who makes it through to the quarterfinals. Welcome back to Langenargen for day 3 of Match Race Germany. The new day brought plenty of breeze, which looked promising for the race ahead.
Yesterday, the wind was fickle, and we had to wait all day to sail one race. We raced Johnie Berntsson, who beat us. Apparently there is a bit more wind this morning. If it stays like this today, that might be better, as we are going to race against people that are not as experienced at match racing. As there is more wind, it makes it easier, because it's more about tactics than just being in the puffs. That said, we have 2 matches to win to make sure we go through to the quarterfinals.
Iehl's hopes were realised as he dispatched 2 of his lower-seeded opponents at the start of the day. Meanwhile, Mathieu Richard was doing well, winning his first 3 races of the day, putting him at 6 wins and 2 losses.
Those boats are very, very tricky to sail in these conditions. And today we did a good job to find the speed and we felt better than the others, but it was very tough, yeah.
The second half of the day saw some of the more action-packed races, as the fight for a place in the quarterfinals got more desperate. 2 tour card holders teetering on the brink were Johnie Berntsson and Peter Gilmour.
Yeah, we had a really interesting race against Peter. It's always tight when we race against him, but today it was extraordinary.
We actually ended up having 2 races against Johnie Berntsson. In the first start, Johnny got off the line a little bit better than us. Coming down the run, we were probably 6 boat lengths, 7 boat lengths behind him maybe, and we're coming down to the bottom, and the Markley boat's there with an X flag which says round me rather than round the mark, and Johnny had already gone past it.
We lost a lot of distance to Peter and he was quite even with us, and we put up the red flag to ask for redress. That's what you do in that situation in match racing. After a while the organizing committee decided to cut the race and do a resale, which was a good decision.
On the resale, Johnny got slightly the better of the start. We had to split up the first windward leg.
We were leading the upwind, and on the first downwind he managed to roll us. We had some maneuvering problems getting the spinnaker filled, and Peter and his crew did a good job rolling us there and passed us just ahead at the leeward mark. And then we were struggling to get back. He was in front of us. But he and his crew did a good job keeping us behind, so we were a couple of boat lengths after him in the goal.
Following his loss against Gilmour, Berntsson was in dire need of a win to stand any chance of making it to the quarters. It all rested on his next race against Jesper Radich.
The race against Jesper Radich was quite interesting. We know he's always a good starter, he's a good boat handling, and we managed to keep him on the port side of the starting line. That's what happened when you dial in, and you try to give him a moment where he cannot go to the starting vessel and keeping on the left side.
At the last 30 seconds I made a wrong call to go behind him and take the right hand side. Even though we knew the left hand side was strong, I just had this feeling that it would be better. In the end it was completely wrong.
So we good start, good speed, and we were in front of him, which was really good. And all the way around the course until the last downwind. Then we had problems with the spinnaker. Was stuck in the halyard of the pool.
We had a perfect hoist and an early jibe, so we cruised into victory, and I mean it was good on us, bad on him, and that's part of sailing sometimes.
So with Berntsson out of the competition, he'll be looking to the next event to prove his team have got what it takes to beat the best.
This is the first time for us here in Germany, so now we get to know this area, and we would like to come back here again and race it some more. And we get some improvement of how to learn the boat, how to learn to handle the boats. We are really happy about beating the top guys like Damien Iehl today. We were happy about that, and we know that we can beat them all, but we need to do it more often, and we take that with us to the next event.
By flight 22, there were 2 skippers standing in joint place at the top of the leaderboard with 1 race left to sail. They were Francesco Bruni and Damien Iehl. Both had 8 wins and 2 losses, and whoever triumphed now would go straight through to the semi-finals.
Last race against Damien was very exciting. We had a good wind, not too strong, not too light, probably the best conditions so far. And we managed to keep control of the whole pre-start. It was a classic start on the right of the opposition with a good speed. So we were ahead at the first cross. We could bounce him on the left corner. And then there was a situation where we didn't quite tack on his bow, and he managed to sneak through to leeward, almost ahead at the top mark. We went head to wind, but we managed to keep nice and fast the boat, and we just rolled on his bow. We were ahead, so we were happy, and we managed to keep control of the race the whole time. We knew that it's not an easy match against him. He's on fire. He's doing great. He was same points with us before the last race, so we knew that we had to win that race to win the round robin. We are extremely happy. We haven't won a round robin for a long time, and to win it here is a little bit of an extra bonus because you go straight to the semi-finals. So if you need to win a round robin, you need to win it here, and we did it. So it's great. We just feel great.
So at the end of day 3, the quarter-finalists had been decided. Francesco Bruni goes directly into the semi-finals, and the remaining 6 teams would be racing in the quarters to see who would join him. The 5 teams at the bottom of the scoreboard were out of the competition and going home. Day 4 began with the boat draw to see who would be racing who. Sitting at the top of the leaderboard after Bruni, Damien Iehl got to select his quarter-final opponent first, and he chose to race Eugenie Nieugodnikov.
That was a discussion with all the crew. It was not easy. We had several options. I wanted to pick someone else. I wanted to race Phil because we sailed very well against him, and we agreed on that. But after discussing it with the coach and the tactician, it came up that Eugenie did not sail very well in light conditions. Okay then, let's change. We changed at the last minute, so we'll see what the result is. But it is really difficult to make a choice. We will stay focused, we will do our best in the quarterfinal, and then we'll take it one step at a time.
Iehl and Nieugodnikov fought it out for a full 5 flights, taking it in turns to win each race. The 5th and final match saw the young Russian take down the mighty Frenchman, knocking him out of the competition. So the winner of Match Race France and current tour leader goes home.
The big objective is to progress event after event. It's difficult, it's very tough quarter final, and it's not really easy, but it's good regatta because we passed the first step, and I think it's not so bad.
For the next quarter-final pairing, Jesper Radic chose to race Phil Robertson.
We will choose Phil Robertson.
Radic won the first match, and the pressure was on Robertson to level the scores.
Off the line we were really buried and deep, and we kind of wanted the right but got forced to go left, and ended up picking up a really good amount of pressure out in the left-hand lay line and came back with a lot of pace, and I think we got quite lucky at the top and kind of left him no option but to try and protect the right at the top, and he did 2 really downspeed tacks within probably, I don't know, a minute of the mark, and with us just doing 1 tack we managed to get around him, and again just picked up a couple of really lucky little shifts right at the top to make everything so much sweeter, and crossed him at the top, and just extended downwind from there.
Robertson went on to win his next flight, leaving a potentially decisive 4th race. If Robertson takes another win, he's through to the semi-finals.
Last race against Phil Robertson in the quarterfinals was a really close match actually. We came off the starting line as we wanted. We wanted to start to the right. They were able to get up and go really high and actually squeeze us off before the ley line.
You're making, 1 metre, 2 metres, 3 metre gains, and that's all it takes, and we did a really good job that race. We might even get buoy room here, if we're good. just kept the boat going fast the whole race and set up the bottom mark really well, and it just kind of fell into our hands at the next upwind was a really long port tack, and we managed to tack in a really good vein and just take a beautiful puff the whole way across and get ahead.
From then on it was nothing to do, we were behind, and so there was a victory for them. They sailed well, and yeah, it was just not really our day.
Absolutely stoked, and we're over the moon.
One of the reasons they beat us was probably because their crew work was a little bit better. We were just missing 1 meter here and there. Well, that's it now for us, Match Race Germany. We're out. I think we need to still step up on our crew work, and luckily we're going to have our normal tactician back on the boat, so we'll be the core team again, and I look forward to that.
Next up was Peter Gilmour racing Mathieu Richard, both experienced match racers and both desperate to stay in the game. Flight 3 saw plenty of drama, with the scores at 1-1 and the teams eager for an advantage.
Well, Flight 3 of the quarterfinals against Peter Gilmour was an interesting one. We wanted to go to the left, and we managed to start at the pin, so it was a good start for us. The first cross on the beat was really crucial because we were on the port lee line, and it was a very close situation to cross ahead or not. And then, if I remember, they came back during the first run with some pressure.
We came in, coming down to the leeward mark, we were both overlapped on port. We were a little bit faster than them and looped around outside them.
Peter Gilmour had to give us enough room to run the mark, but he didn't.
As they went to turn up around the mark, we did have contact as they rotated, and their batten off the back touched us, and then we got a penalty for that. And then I thought at that moment the only chance for us to do okay in this race is A, to get them to tack off, and second, to give the penalty back. So I went up and tapped them a second time, and unfortunately when I did it, the umpires were looking down and didn't see the movement, and they gave us a second penalty for it. So that was pretty much game over.
And so after 2 penalties, you feel better and more relaxed, so it was easier then.
Flight 4 saw Gilmour level the scores once again, leaving a final flight to decide who would go through.
Final flight was crucial for us and for both teams, because we were on 2-2, and the winner would go to the semis. So it's always very intense and special, such a flight. 50 seconds before the start, we felt in a good position because he was overlap on windward of us and over the line, but we managed to make him tacking. He tacked, and we had to tack as well because we were over the line, and at that point we were slower. So he managed to come back on the good side of the starting line faster than us, and got the left. So at that point it was a bad situation for us, and we tried to find some wind on the right side of the racing area, but there was nothing, and they increased the lead, and we lost, unfortunately, that match.
So with some big names going home and some rising stars going through, it's set to be an exciting semi-final. Join us after the break to see how it plays out and to find out the winner of Match Race Germany. Welcome back to Langenargen for Day 4 of Match Race Germany. The semi-final pairings were decided on the water. Francesco Bruni chose to race Phil Robertson, which left Peter Gilmour racing Eugenie Nieugodnikov. Spread over 2 days, the conditions for the semi-finals looked light and tricky. Peter Gilmour talks us through his first semi-final race.
I guess with Flight 1 of the semi-finals, we had a pretty good control in the pre-start coming in from the starboard end, and we had Yevgeny heading down to the pin end of the line. We managed to tack back to the boat but couldn't lay the boat, and we tacked over onto starboard, and it was quite a heavy starboard hand bias, and when he decided to come back, we were already possibly 2 lengths, maybe 3 lengths up. We tacked halfway up the windward leg, came across to him and tacked on him on starboard and really put the sort of the sleeper hold on him. Tacking over. At that point, it you know, he couldn't get any air to keep on to get any closer to us, and we let around by a fair distance.
The second flight saw Gilmour go on to secure another win, bringing his score to 2-0 at the end of the day. Flight 3 took place the next morning, and with the glassy-looking Lake Constance, it was going to be a real test of concentration for the teams. Gilmour describes the race that could see him through to the finals.
Flight 3 against Evgeny Negodnikov for us was obviously a must-win race, because there was a lot of uncertainty as to whether there were going to be more flights out there to get us through to the final. It was a difficult one. We came in obviously with the starboard advantage, and with both boats with spinnakers up, we jibed and sort of followed him on down. He had more speed than us, and when we went up into the tack, actually got up into quite a powerful position. It was difficult to sort of defend from there, and eventually we sort of both boats went bow down and rolled into the starting line. He was a little bit faster on the actual start, and we were both extremely close to the start itself, and I was surprised there wasn't a recall there, and fortunately we managed to eventually get his speed, force him to tack off, and that was pretty much the race, because next time we came across we had a decent lead and were able to sort of hold him out, gas him all the way into the top mark.
So Peter Gilmour goes through to the final. In the other semi-final, Francesco Bruni lost the previous evening's first race to Phil Robertson and had 1 flight left that day to level his scores.
We were a little bit nervous after the first one that we lost pretty badly on the starting line. We wanted the right, we had the right of the starting line, but it didn't pay off so well. The first cross, Phil was ahead by a couple of lengths. The game was still open during the first downwind. There were a lot of jibing, which is quite rare in this light wind. He matched us 2 or 3 of those jibes, and the third one we jibed better than him, and we rolled him. We had a very small overlap at the bottom mark. It was an interesting one, and it was a situation where we had room, but we were slower, a lot of things, and there was a small contact between his bow and our sticks. But in reality the contact was between the flag, the red flag, the little tiny red flag, and his bow.
He's taking too much room there. Right, he touched! Penalty! I did my best to do that.
I just learned that the flag, the little flag, doesn't count. So otherwise he would have had a penalty there. But regardless of the penalties, the important thing is that we were ahead at that stage, and we managed to keep the control of the race from that moment.
The next day, Bruni managed to break the tie, winning Flight 3 and bringing the score to 2-1. But Robertson responded well in the next race, levelling the scores once again at 2-2. But then the wind finally died, and after a tense wait, it was decided that they would abandon the semis and Bruni would go through to the finals on countback.
Yeah, it is slightly disappointing, because right now Bruni's the top ranked, and at the moment we're the second top ranked in the round robin. So to us it seems like it's a good idea to keep sailing this and then shorten the final, you know, and see what goes on a little after. But take it on the chin, and yeah, what can you do?
So with the results of the semi-finals settled, it was on to the petty finals and finals. Robertson had no choice but to race Evgeny Negodnikov in the petty finals for 3rd place. In a first to 1 point scenario, Robertson took the win, giving him a bittersweet podium finish.
We're a little disappointed. We've been sailing superbly the last 2 days and really been on form, and once we get on form then we become unbeatable almost. So a little disappointed to finish the semi-final 2-2, but we're still very happy to come third.
So in the final, to decide the winner of Match Race Germany, Peter Gilmour faced Francesco Bruni.
Yeah, first race of the finals was an interesting one. It was a big bias on the right, but we wanted the left. So you had a little advantage on the right, and I think Peter had a little advantage straight away on the line. But we wanted the left for wind and current. It was a pretty strong current today. And it worked fine. We were ahead at the first cross, and there was a bit of a thrilling moment on the first downwind when they catch up like 5 or 6 boat lengths. But we keep it cool, we were ahead at the bottom mark, and we stretched from there, so good work.
We join Andy Green for what could be the deciding race of the regatta.
But Gilmour is slowing down because he's a little early for that pin end. Cameron Dunn, the tactician on board Gilmour's boat, he's looking towards that right-hand side. I think there's a little more pressure down there as Gilmour peels off towards the pin end of the line for his final approach to the start, trying to build speed as Bruni is unrolling his jib. They rolled that just while they went head to wind to try and reduce the drag of the wind on the sails, slow the boat down as little as possible. As Bruni now has his jib out, he is accelerating for that committee boat end of the line. It's going to be a big split tack start, and the crucial thing will be who is getting the best breeze or the right shift on the upwind leg. Coming towards the windward mark on the right-hand side. It is the Italians of Bruni who are ahead. Gilmour has to keep clear. We're on board with Bruni right now. This is close. Bruni decides to tack right in front of Gilmour. Is this going to be a legal tack? 2-3 meters distance between the two. Looks fine. The umpire's right there, ready to dispense justice if need be. But all clear, and Bruni gets first blood at the windward mark. Clear instructions from the helmsman. Good set on board Bruni. Gilmour just had to luff a bit, that's why they rolled their jib as well. Here goes the hoist on Gilmour's boat. Spinnaker fills, not a bad hoist at all, but Gilmour's thrown everything at Bruni downwind. It's not enough, and usually you get a real advantage if you're downwind in light conditions because you get to dictate which side to go to. Bruni, though, defended extremely well and is now 2 to 3 lengths ahead, maybe more. Just 2 laps around, windward leeward marks. Beating up to the top mark and then down towards the finish. This is the final lap, so it's around the windward mark and Bruni leads. Be careful, don't hit that windward mark. You can get penalised by the umpires and that'll be very costly. A nice advantage here for Francesco Bruni, and he's been threatening for some years to take one of the World Match Racing Tour events. He hasn't done it yet and flattered to deceive, but here we go, down towards the finish, the blue flag. Bruni wins and takes Match Race Germany for a hard-fought and well-won win.
Francesco Bruni wins his first ever tour event here in Langenargen, Germany.
Yes, I'm super proud of my team. They did a great job, and they really deserved it because they've been waiting this moment for long, and we all deserved it. Obviously very happy, and I think I proved it enough. It's a great sensation. We have been trying very hard for I think 10 or 12 events to be in the finals, and this is our first finals, and so far so good. I hope for some more.
We just didn't lift ourselves for the final, and Francesco looked hungry and really wanted it and got what he wanted. You know, sort of like we were pretty lame actually in the final against him, and congratulations to him. It's his first final ever in a World Match Racing Tour event, and to go on and win it was simply outstanding.
Here's the final scoreboard for Match Race Germany. So with the second event of the ISAF World Match Racing Tour completed, the Tour leaderboard looks like this. Damien Iehl is still sitting at the top of the leaderboard with 39 Tour points, but Francesco Bruni isn't far behind in second place with 37 points. Peter Gilmour's second place at this event has rocketed him from 7th to 3rd place overall. Jesper Radic is a non-mover, still lying in 4th place, and Kiwi rising star Phil Robertson is creeping up the ranks in 5th. Join us for the next leg of the ISAF World Match Racing Tour, the Korea Match Cup.